Hello, bonjour, namaste, ni hao, and oh hi everybody, what is going on? It is Galeriot here, and welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another Danmachi video. And today we are going to be comparing the epilogues of Arrow of Orion in both Danmachi Battle Chronicle and Danmachi Memoria Freese. Of course, both games had very different epilogues, and so I want to compare the two and I want to talk about both of them. I haven't watched them yet. I'm going to be watching them right here. I've watched the entire Arrow of Orion movie just a few days ago, so I have a good memory of exactly what goes down, and I feel like what happens in the movie, of course, impacts what I feel about both epilogues, of course, right? So of course I'm gonna be sitting down and watching both of them with you guys in this video. So of course, if you guys go on to enjoy this one, please be sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel for more content, and let me know your guys' thoughts after watching both epilogues. Do you guys prefer the Danmemo one or the Danmachi Battle Chronicle one? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say down below. Now, it's kind of ironic that I'm doing this actually the night of Danmachi Memoria Freese releasing, of course, the 4th anniversary story in the game, rerunning the JP version of, on the JP version, the 4th anniversary, of course, featuring Artemis herself. So it's kind of ironic in that regards, but it's coincidences aside, I think I'm going to be quite interested to see how I prefer, you know, one ending over the other, or whether I feel maybe in between. It's going to be quite interesting because I feel like there's a couple of ways this can go, right? One, I prefer one ending over the other. It's as simple as that. Two, I prefer both endings, or I like both endings, but I feel like depending on the situation, I feel like I'd prefer one ending over the other depending on the situation and time, really, because sometimes there might be certain situations where I'd be like, you know, in this case I'd say this one is better, and in another situation I'd say the other one's better, you know what I mean? So it's going to be quite interesting to see which way I go in regards to these epilogues. But without further ado, I think I'm going to start off with the Danmachi Battle Chronicle one, because I haven't watched this one at all. The Danmemo one, at least I've, you know, watched it, so I know what to expect there. But yeah, without further ado, I think I'm gonna lower the volume a little bit, but of course make it so that it's loud enough for you guys and good enough for me as well. And let's click the play button and see what is in store for us. All right.
名前も知らないあなたへ。あなたは今どこにいるのかな。あなたは今何を
Okay.
眺めているんだろう。名前も知らない顔もわからないあなたを思いながら、今私はゆりかごに揺られている。あなたと出会いたい。
Okay, so this one takes still it is a direct epilogue then. Okay, good, good, good.
名前も知らないあなたへ。ベル？
Eyes? Okay.
アイズさん、どうしてここに？
君がここに行くのを街で見かけたから。
そうですか。
何を見ているの？
約束。
え？
忘れないように、絶対に守るために、大切な約束を見つめていました。いつかあの人のもとに。
ダメ。いや、
アイズさん。
君を渡したく。君に言ってほしくない。お父さんやお母さんみたいにいなくなってほしくない。
いや、すぐにいなくなるとかそういうんじゃないんです。きっとこの約束はずっと先で、ずっと 遠い場所で叶うものだと思うから。
Oh my god.
それじゃあ私とも約束。
え？
私とも約束して。
I want to let it play out, so that's why I'm not saying
愛さんと。
anything, by the way.
何をですか？
えっと
Hmm.
じゃがまるくん。
Huh? Okay.
は？
じゃがまるくんを一緒に買いに行こう。
わかりました。今からですか？
うんうん。今もこれからもずっと。
Okay, okay. Is that it? I wonder. She's gonna look up at the moon as well.
私もあなたも一緒なのかも。名前も知らないあなたへ、いつか同じ空の下で出会える日まで、あなたが笑っていられますように。
Okay. Okay, I have thoughts. I have thoughts about that. All right. Whew. Okay, so much more Eisen Bell heavy than I thought it would have been, to be quite honest. Considering it's an epilogue for Arrow of Orion, I thought there would have been more Artemis in it. And while there was obviously hints of Artemis and her voice and everything was there and everything, all that jazz, right? It that completely focused on Artemis as well to an extent as well, but definitely more Eisen Bell focused. I think that there were some translation issues, right? Because it says, I don't want you to disappear like your parents. I mean, I can see where it's also Belle's parents, but I'm assuming this meant more so like, I don't want to I don't want you to disappear like my parents, more so. Because that's the whole thing with Eyes, right? Is like her father MIA or dead pretty much because of the one-eyed black dragon. Arya MIA, quite literally, right? Thought to be captive, held captive by the dragon as well. Hence why Eyes wants to rescue her as well, right? But I liked it because surprisingly, and you guys will see this in just a second, and I'll explain why I was like, hold on a second, in between, this section when Belle said this. I think it'll come true in a far off place. I want to quickly go and show you guys the Danmemo version before we talk about both, because I genuinely believe both stories actually complement each other quite a lot. Obviously, like I said, I think a lot of people will have their preferences towards the two stories, but I genuinely believe both stories actually complement each other really well. Let's take a look at the Danmemo version. When I came back to my senses, I was there. I'll voice over it just so that in case people can't read it. Of course. I listened to the soothing melody of a gentle stream and a peaceful breeze while feeling soft grass under my feet. A bird's song was sung as if it were blessing my birth. My life is it went by too quickly. I instantly accepted my fate as the missing pillar of heaven, a ruler of purity. But there was still one question left unanswered. Why I stood in the world of mortals? This was not the place for me, a goddess. Why am I here? Estia, of course. Hey, nice to meet you. Looking back to the strange voice, I saw a girl standing there. With a flash of recognition, I knew who she was. She is the Hearth, a great pillar of the undying. And I'm glad to see you again. But why, I could not say. There was an overflowing emotion of nostalgia. I felt as if I've known her. I felt like she'd been with me.
ヘルメスも粋
I
な
didn't
計
think
らいを
Hermes
する
could
も
be
んだ
this thoughtful to send you here for the time of your awakening.
ここに送ってくれるなんて
He finally did something godlike, she said, chuckling. I had no answers as to why she was smiling or why I was drawn to the twinkling in her eyes. And then I saw. Are you crying? I asked her.
泣いてなんかいないさ。君と出会うときは涙じゃなくて笑いながらって決めてたんだ。
I'm not crying. I promised myself that when I'd see you, I'd be smiling.
たくさん話をしたいんだ。君にたくさん伝えたい言葉があるんだ。
Many stories I want to share with you, many words I need to tell you. But you have to meet someone before all that.
君は会わなくちゃいけない子がいる。
As she spoke, I felt a tinge of emotion.
待ってた
He's
んだ
been
よ。
waiting for you forever and ever, and now he's still waiting for you.
今も待ってるんだよ。君を。姿が
Through
変わっ
many
ても
physical changes and after a heartbreaking moment and a time of despair, with his unchanging soul,
魂が
he
輝きを
waited.
忘れそうになっても、それでもずっとバカみたいに白いまま君を待っていたんだ。
I didn't understand a word she spoke. But even so, there was something overflowing my heart. What was it?
言っておいで。
Go ahead and remember the promise you need to
君
keep.
が結んだ約束がある。
I went towards the direction she pointed. Through the trees and along the stream I went, following the voice of birds until my legs started running as if they had forgotten how to walk. What is this feeling that's kindling my heart? Who is the he that's making my eyes shine? I don't know. Yes, I know. I don't know. Yes, I know. I knew the reason for the tears flowing down my cheek. Past rays of light through trees in a forest, a field came into view. All I could see was the white light. Like a virgin snowfield and like silver lining behind dark clouds, beyond there someone was standing. Countless nights have passed. No, it has been 10,000 years. This was a never-ending story of love. Love that I'd been awaiting even before I became myself. I didn't know how I should react. I didn't know what to say. Then I heard God's voices. The wind of the traveler, the smile of the earth, and the tricks of love. All told me to simply be me. So I collected all my thoughts and emotions and turned them into his name. Everything came together. My eyes caught a boy for I've so longed.
O kaeri nasai, Artemis-sama.
The promise was kept. With a tearful smile, I said, "Let us have the 10,000 years of love." Through everlasting time, a boy walked. Sometimes he suffered, sometimes he looked up at the moon, and now he had finally saved a girl. This is how the story ends. This is a story about a boy chosen by destiny and a goddess descended from the moon. This is a story about a promise. And there you go. That is the Danmemo one. I still get emotional over it, man, and especially because it actually complements really well. Like I said, surprisingly, both stories complement each other extremely well. You know, they do complement each other extremely well. Um, like I mean, we as it says, you know, he looks up at the moon, you know, far off land. It's everything he said in this Danchro ending that works really well in the Danmemo ending as well. And to me, I think that's the beauty of it. And I think my second point is right. I think it just depends on the situation, but more so than anything else, I think the endings kind of complement each other. Of course, I think there are some points that maybe some people prefer in the Dankra ending, the whole Eyes and Bell dynamic, maybe the more present timeline and stuff, right? But on the other hand, some people might prefer the fact that the promise was fulfilled. You know, at the end, the epilogue shows that the promise was fulfilled at the end of it all, and I think that's the beauty of it. I don't know, man. I think I can't say I prefer one or the other. Like I said, I think there are some things that I prefer in the Don Crow ending, some I prefer in the Don Mimo ending. I probably would say that if you really want to bring it down to what gets me more emotional and my emotions running, I'd probably say Don Mimo's, and I think that there's a couple of reasons why. I Don Crow, it has music, but then the majority of this dialogue between Bell and Ice has very little to no music, which I think could be a lot better. They use very similar tracks though. When the music gets going, they use very similar tracks. But I feel like having music makes a world of a difference, and that's what, you know, hearing that music in the background, listening to it and everything, and knowing what obviously happened in Arrow of Orion, I think I have to give it to Danmemo in that regards. The tears, you know, flowing and everything. It gets me going more in Danmemo than I would say it does in Don Crow. But yeah, wow, I didn't think I'd like, you know, it works so well, man. They actually kind of work really well together in a way. Both endings, you know, to be honest, both endings actually complement each other really well. I would prefer Danmemos though. I'd say I prefer Danmemos to an extent, just by a little bit. But again, it just complements each other. Like I'd like to have both together. You know, both together work. Like I'd love if Danmemo had both endings, and I'd have loved if Don Crow had both endings. You know, just showing, you know, Artemis, you know, waking up to Hestia. Maybe we could have been looking at her point of view, and she's just running across like a pond into like rivers, and then just sees Belle at the end of it all. Oh, would have been so good. Would have been so good. I don't know, man. It's rough, but love both. I think that Amori did a great job in doing the ending for Don Crow as well, and the Don Mimo one as well. I like both as well. I think for Don Crow as well, it makes a little bit of sense because you know, there's a lot of been a lot of suggestions, and there is some truth in it that JC staff and the production committee wanted Amori to rewrite the story a little bit so it'd have less eyes and more Artemis and stuff like that, and have Hestia as a focal point, which I thought made a lot of sense. I think the production committee was right in that regard. Like I like Eyes as well, don't get me wrong, but Hestia made more sense to be with Belle when it came to dealing with Artemis, purely because they're both goddesses, they're both part of this pure goddess faction effectively, or trio of like Athena, Artemis and Hestia, right? So it made a lot of sense in that regards. So I'm not really gonna blame Amori for, or I'm not gonna blame the production committee and stuff for that. And I think this was a great opportunity for Amori to bring Eyes in a little bit to kind of, you know, get that dynamic of love going, the present and potentially forever love in a way, you know. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. I like both endings. I really do like both endings, and I want to see what y'all think as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please be sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, take it easy, everybody. Bye bye.